This is a high priority message. Backup is needed at our location. Any personnel listening on this frequency, please report at once.
Holy crap, now this is unexpected. If you watched my experiencing Fallout 3 video, which I highly recommend you do before watching these, then you know I wasn't the happiest over Fallout 3. Dubious legality in the Steam store, a ridiculously drawn out and uninteresting main story, a nearly pointless yet binary morality system, and so on. Fallout 3 left as sour of a taste in my mouth as it could have. In fact, it was so bad that it was almost as if some deity tried to get me to stop making the video. Constant crashing, losing hours of gameplay, getting sick, all led me to almost completely lose any passion towards my project. In fact, you can see it in the way the video was made as well. Corners were cut. But the completionist in me demands that I also talk about the DLCs of the game. From previous experience, I remember the DLCs as being better than the base game, and unlike with Fallout 3, this time it seems I'm right. Operation Anchorage is the first DLC released for Fallout, and I had a pretty great time with it. So we get a distress signal, and like it is with most of these types of DLCs, we have to go into a small rabbit hole that's conveniently placed in an unused wall. In this case, it's a nebulous metro tunnel that leads us to a completely walled off quarter of open area. We meet some Brotherhood outcasts, members of the Brotherhood who were exiled from the main group for ideological differences. They're total assholes, but the super mutants are worse, so we work together to kill some of them. During our push, we also fight the most bullet-spongy super mutant who took around 200 Chinese assault rifle shots before going down. We finally reach the outcast base, which was under siege, and go down the oddly small freight elevator. Inside we see the most out-of-place visuals ever. I understand that they're trying to show an untouched area of the world, but this looks like a really bad Star Wars knockoff. It feels so out of place. Whoever's the interior decorator should die from a nuke or something. Wait. No. Right. We're given some very light motivations to get into the meat and potatoes of the DLC. The outcasts want to raid an armory, it's locked. To open it, you need to complete an old pre-war training simulation program, and to use the simulator, you need to have a Pip-Boy. This isn't the most compelling stuff in the world, but honestly, it doesn't need to be. If anything, the awards aren't even what should motivate you. Instead, it should be the whole simulation itself. New technology, nearly endless possibilities. It's pre-war tech too, so we'll have a chance to see the world before the nukes too. So without further ado, let's get into it. Actually, even getting into this pod is a lot more exciting. Sci-fi visuals and an actual way to show that it's supposed to be immersive, unlike the 4-inch airplane TVs that you were supposed to look at in Tranquility Lane. We're woken up by a gruff army man, after we supposedly parachuted down and lost consciousness. For some weird reason, we immediately split up and were given reins over our character. Turns out we talked to Sergeant Benjamin Montgomery, who's our superior officer on this mission. We fight through a lot of Chinese soldiers, and it's obvious that we're in the middle of an invasion of Alaska by the Chinese. Interesting. We're on an extremely linear path, but that doesn't even matter. At best you have some side rooms and a very small side path that will almost always lead you to some extra goodies. A clever thing this game does is making sure to gamify the simulation itself. The simulation has health and ammo restoration canisters, and you can pick up only designated items, all of which are glowing red. So previously interactable items like pencils, cups, cigarettes and books are turned into static items in the scenery, which is actually a very cool detail. After all, why should a soldier pick up 26 pencils to sell for 14 bottle caps at a local bar? We stumble into a cave and meet back up with our sergeant. We proceed on our mission and happen to stumble upon one of those side rooms. Inside we find a piece of intel, which is a silver briefcase. Turns out we can collect 10 of them throughout our entire mission. We also pick up a holotape. Over time we'll find many of these. All of them obviously just actors reading their scripts. Patriotic storylines crossed with stereotypes create some very interesting tracks to listen to.
Audio log begin. This is Captain Zachary Lloyd, United States Army Anchorage, Alaska Security Detachment. We are approximately 2 hours into the Chinese assault on this outpost. We are being shelled non-stop, indiscriminately. The entire base is under bombardment from the Chinese ships, and they don't care who they hit. All accounts indicate they've actually killed more of their own men than ours. They just do not seem to care about their own troops at all. At this rate, the entire mountain will be a great then the Chinese will just move in and set up shop. God help us. God help America.
We get into a weapons base, and we encounter a new type of enemy, Chinese Dragoons. They wear stealth suits and try and ambush you, usually unsuccessfully. We make our way through the base on a hillside, where the enemy has 3 massive artillery bombers. We blow all 3 of them up. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3! Sorry. We fade out, and then fade back in, inside a forward operating base. Specifically, the command tent with General Chase, our rough and gruff leader, who's fearless and loyal to his country. Though, honestly, he's also really boring to listen to.
Your attitude's just earned you a demerit. I don't want to hear that kind of talk out of you again. Is that crystal clear enough now?
For our service, we're promoted to replace the leader of the strike team. We were a rookie just a few moments ago, if you remember, but I guess now we literally outranked the sergeant.
Thanks to your promotion, I guess I'll be saluting you from now on.
The game introduces a fascinating system. Because we're a strike team, we need a team. But our team also can't be too big. So we're given 5 reinforcement spots, and it's up to us to fill them out. Each troop has a cost of 1 to 4 spots, with there being 3 potential slots to fill up. So you can't just have 5 infantrymen who are worth 1 spot each. Anyways, we pick our team and we have a choice to make. We need to take out 2 areas. First, we'll be taking control over the listening post. While I'm not going to claim that the game completely fixed its combat, it definitely knew what to do to reduce the pain of the combat overall. Enemies take more damage and deal less, which means that the game is now complemented by its lack of potential strategy involved. Instead, you're encouraged to go guns blazing and just destroy anyone who gets in your way. This is much more entertaining, and considering the focus on the combat, it's nothing but a positive here. We've taken over the listening post, so we're teleported back into our FOB. We go outside and see some stereotypical war correspondent stuff.
Alright boys, I'm gonna make you famous. Get yourselves into a heroic pose. Okay, that's it. Just like that. Hold still. Excellent. The Capitol Post thanks you. Who knows, maybe someone will turn this photo into a statue one day. Alright, you boys try not to die out there, okay? God bless you, and God bless the US of A.
Time to take out the Chimera base. There's a pretty clear formula here. You get 2 objectives, and both of them have a so-called pre-area, which isn't the actual main objective. So it's essentially a 3-pronged linear trident. In the base you have the FOB, and then you have 3 potential directions. First you take out the 2 sides, which both have 2 areas to clear out. Then we proceed down the middle. Anyways, instead of having to take out all the enemies, this time we need to blow up 2 fuel tanks. 1, 2... Oh yeah, that's done. We also fight a Chimera tank, which is basically just a fancy turret. Amazing how a literal tank took fewer bullets than the super mutant from before. Right, so back in the base we are told to assault the main base by disabling the pulse field. This time it's just me and the sergeant. No strike team to help us out. We advanced through some ridiculously massive trenches. So anyways, the DLC takes a completely different visual style. None of these murky, grimy wasteland visuals, and instead you'll see cleaner textures and also, of course, since it's Alaska, a lot of snow. I like the variety here from the base game, but the lighting engine also makes the glare of the snow quite piercing. I'm not a stranger to snow, and I know how the sun can completely blind you if there's snow on the ground, but we're dealing with a game where we have to fight enemies. They could have pulled back on the glow. We disabled the pulse field and advanced on the Chinese base. we meet the enemy general, who's comically evil. It's a simulation, so I appreciate how much brainwashing is happening here. It's appropriate to the setting. We take the general out, pissing off our own guys in the process, and our own general materializes into existence to pat us in the back. Honestly, I'm surprised at how engaged I was the whole time. We were given a smaller objective, and we did it all in a reasonable amount of time. Unlike in the main game where it can take 12 hours to only do a single objective, which is to find our dad, only to end up with a self-important objective. I don't need a story that has delusions of grandeur. I want a story that's told in a reasonable manner. Whether it's silly, whether it's serious, I just want it to be appropriately told. Operation Anchorage managed that. I'm disappointed that they opted for a satirical and silly training program, instead of a more serious simulation that actually took the real battle and made it into a more of a serious training exercise. This was an amazing chance to share their lore, which has insane amounts of potential. Instead, we got a Saturday morning cartoon. That's the one point where I think Operation Anchorage completely missed the mark. Oh, I forgot. We had an actual plotline in the real life too. We opened the armory, only for one of the officers to start a mutiny. We accidentally kill everyone and loot the armory. Trust me, it has good stuff, but it's not that packed with equipment. Unless a total of like 200 ammo is a motherload to you. Thank you for watching. Unlike with Fallout 3's base game, I enjoyed this trip a fair bit. I'll be covering the other DLCs too, so stay tuned. I have multiple projects in the works, so I hope you're as excited as I am. Subscribe to the channel to keep up with all that I make. Like the video if you did like it, and other than subscribing, the biggest thing you could do is share this with someone who might enjoy these videos. I've also linked my Twitter in the description, in case you're interested in the progress of the projects. Thanks for watching.
Please, help us.